Beloved, this is your favorite Reverend Dr. Sarpong, the researcher and in the rheologist. Wherever you are, the sound of my voice permits me to bring you unadulterated words and undiluted words. And I believe your life will never be the same. The word is esoteric or esoteric, depending on how you pronounce it. Esoteric. And when you define this word, it says intended for or likely to be understood by a small number of people with special knowledge or interest. It's a word that, in as much as you're trying to find definition of the word, the definition also is an adage or a proverb. So it becomes very difficult to understand what that word means. And today, that is why I'm here with you, just to dissect into the word and to bring you definition to your understanding so that you may know what has been hidden from the Christian fraternity for a very long time, which a lot of Christians has given up even Christianity, which some of them are yet to give up because they feel like they've been praying about a particular thing for a decade, but to no avail. So this is what I am bringing to you, and it's your favorite Reverend Dr. Sarpong, the researcher and the rheologist. Over the years, as I said, if you count from 2020, since COVID, you realize that the Christendom has been divided into two. And this is what I normally put up to say, the Christian as a religion is under attack. And the reason being that even some of the Bible verses has been taken out. Some of the quotations has been taken out in the name of revising the Bible. And this is what I normally tell people, that if Bible has already suffered 1,500 years, as in gathering the scrolls, which they use something called canon, C-A-N-O-N, and that is canon, which a camera has taken the brand Canon. It was a measurement that they used to measure the books, as in the scrolls, which is the gospel. And as you know, or as is being written, it takes 40 authors to go through this, as in to compile, the New and the Old Testament. And it was believed that it was about 366 books, as I said earlier, and they were to know which one they are supposed to use. So for words, which they could not read all the words, they used the canon, which miraculously, once they put your book into the measurement of the canon, and it goes exactly into that measurement, then it means that your book has been accepted by God. And that is how they screen the whole 366 books, which they rejected 300, using 66 as the New and the Old Testament. So the Bible has already gone through its own screening. So don't let anybody convince you or try to change your perception that Bible can be screened or Bible is under revising or changing or whatsoever. So if some of the versions, like NIV version, is saying that Matthew chapter 18, verse number 11 was not in the scroll, then they are trying to tell me that the Lord God, who gave them that canon to do the measuring and to accept some of the books, was not right. Is that what they are saying? So I'm challenging them that, of course, if that is what it is, then they should tell us. Is the whole book true? Is the whole book, as in, has gone through screening as they say? If not, then I won't accept it that some Bible verses and quotations ought to be changed. So I still maintain my New King James Version, which Jesus Christ is still the only begotten Son. And this is what I'm also trying to let you understand, that when you are buying any Bible, open to your John 3:16. And when Jesus Christ is no longer the begotten Son, it's better you stop buying that Bible. Because the begotten is the only word that makes Jesus Christ the one and only special, a child who has been fathered or was fathered or it is fathered by God. All right? So let's continue with the esoteric. I know this is part of the esoteric in which I've given to you, as in maybe you haven't come to recognition of what I'm talking about. Open your Bible and check if you could see, which is Matthew chapter 18, verse number 11 there. Most Bible versions has taken it out, and that is the verse that says the Son of Man will come to save those who are lost. So if they are saying the Son of Man is not important, then I don't see what is important to those who are taking these words out of the Bible. So, beloved, today we are still under the esoteric. On the other episode, I've talked about some other things that are to Christians, which the Christian fraternity has rejected these things. And of course, some other religious groups has also embraced these things, and they are using them for their own benefits, which Christians are still suffering. So this is what sometimes, based on my research, I come to a crossroad where I say to people that Christians are the most vulnerable religious groups. And of course, when you you can enter into any church. So the church itself means they accept anybody. Yes, you walk into any church, after the sermon being preached by the man of God, he do what we call altar call, and call people as in if that day was their first time of entering the church. And of course, they will raise up their hands, they will be called for them to do their own introduction. And sometimes they may ask them whether they are there to join the church or they came there just to visit. You see, so based on this, a lot of people are in the church today, which you can't trust who is in the church. Based on this, the pastor, the man of God, cannot trust even the elder. The elder cannot trust the man of God. So if there's even an offertory and the man of God counts the money, the elder also needs to recheck whether the money is up to what the man of God is saying it is. So what am I talking about? It seems based on indoctrination, our actions or the indoctrination has affected our actions, our attitude, our everything in the church. So this is what I've come today to address some of these things so that if you are a Christian and you are watching me, you may also take some points out of what I'm talking about. That is, if you find it relevant. All right, so let's go into our Bible where we are going to see whether or not some of the things that I've been talking about are biblical or not biblical. I talked about stones, that stones are very important, or some people have found the importance of stones. You are living in Ghana, probably all that you know that you can use a stone for is to build a house, or to do your concrete work, or to cave it with, something. But maybe you have no idea that stones are into the technological world. All right, so today I've talked about it. I've given definitions to where these stones comes from, as God embedded these things in the Bible, according to Genesis chapter 2, verse number 7 downwards, and also I talked about it in Exodus chapter number 28 downwards. So I am here for us to see the spiritual benefit of these stones. So first and foremost, let's go to the Google where we type onyx. So we are typing onyx, which is ONYX. Onyx stone. Onyx stones. So we add stone to it. Onyx stone. And when we type these onyx stone, we see the black stones. Black stones, pure black stones. As God said, He created the onyx stone. And the onyx stone is a mother to all the other stones. So onyx stone is not only as in the only stones that we have which is the precious stones. So in as much as Bible has defined that there were no white people on earth, because all these people Africans came from the Ethiopia and the, as it says, Hiddekel and what? And Havilah and all those places are believed to be on the African soil, even the Garden of Eden. So, of course, if these things are revealing us in the rich soil of Africa, then it means that our forefathers were all Africans, which are black people. All right. So, black stone, which is onyx, bore all the other stones. So I'm going to show you some other stones, and then we get to see what the onyx stone is about. As I told you that this is what God embedded in the Garden of Eden, which is the onyx stones and belliums and what have you. Now, if I type another name for these stones, which is quartz stone is Q-U-A-R-T-Z. Q-U-A-R, so Q for Queen, U for United, A for Alpha, R for Romeo, T for Thelma, and Z for Zebra. So that is quartz. So we are going to look at quartz stone, and this quartz stone is also part of these, or is a stone that came out of the black onyx stone. It's the mother. So the onyx is the mother of all these other stones. All right. So quartz stone. And if we are to look at the benefit of quartz stone, okay, so maybe we can say benefits. So quartz benefits in technology. So let's say quartz benefits. B-E-N-E-F-I-T-S. So quartz benefits. So quartz benefits in, let's say, in technology. All right, then we enter. So quartz benefits in technology is what I'm reading. Then it says what? It says quartz is what? It's a what? A dispensable. It's indispensable mineral in modern technology. If the word says indispensable, it means we can't do away without those ones. So quartz is an indispensable mineral in modern technology. It says valued for its unique combination of piezoelectric, thermal, and chemical properties. It is fundamental to electronics, solar energy, computing, and telecommunications, serving as a critical component in devices ranging from watches to semiconductor chips. That is quartz. You see? So you see a stone, just a stone that the Bible talks about, is giving you this definition. Then what again do you want to believe? Now watch this. I mentioned technology. So even if you have to go more into the technology with AI overview, it says, number one, piezoelectric properties, which is frequency control. It says precise timing. Quartz crystals possesses piezoelectric properties. It says what? Meaning they generate an electric charge when subjected to what? To mechanical stress, pressure, and vibrates at a very stable frequency when an electric field is applied. So you see, a stone, once they put electric field, our electricity into the stone vibrates at a very fast speed. So this stone is next to the CPU in computers. So even, I don't want to take the bull by the horn. So let me type again, benefits in computers. Because first I said technology. So now I am going to use quartz benefit in computers. So computers. Enter. Then it says, listen to this. This is AI all overview. Quartz provides critical benefits to computers. So primarily through the use of quartz crystal oscillator. Crystal oscillator. So when you go into the computer, the next thing which is so crucial to the computer CPU is the oscillator. And the oscillator is a stone. You see, once they take it into a different mechanism, they have a different name for it. Okay? As you all know, mobile phones, I would say computer is the mother of mobile, which is the smartphones. Computer is the mother of it. How? They started it with a normal, what is it called? Background phrase, analog. You see, analog phones, whereby you could not, share any pictures or whatsoever on the analog phone. And even the analog started a gentleman called Thomas Edison. He was the first to invent mobile phone in 1973. At that time, I don't think I was even born. So, Thomas Edison introduced the first mobile phone on earth. By the time, CCTV camera had captured some people holding mobile phones, which mobile phones were not known on the earth. So this means that even some aliens or some people were using mobile phones in a different planet. Yes, I'm using people because I don't want to say aliens and aliens because we don't know them. You see, so where from the idea which Thomas Edison was able to manufacture these things. And Thomas Edison also got the idea from a gentleman called Percy Spencer, which he also created radiomagnetics, which that one happens to this Percy Spencer guy as what? As something called serendipity. The word called or the word being mentioned or pronounced as serendipity, which defines as a lucky accident. So the serendipity fell into Percy Spencer when he was testing something to do with radiomagnetics, where there were chocolates in his pocket, where he figured out that the chocolates were melting. So lo and behold, he realized that if he could reduce that thing into a size of a cubic, then he can warm food. So Percy Spencer was the first person who introduced microwave through radiomagnetics. All right? So what are they doing and how did they come up? And if you open microwave, you don't get to see anything than magnets and coils, which is the copper wires. So it means that if electricity is being generated through copper into magnets, it generates over thousands and thousands, which tries to come together to get attracted to one another. So there's a boundary between these two, and it starts generating heat. And that is how you warm your food. So most learned doctors doesn't use microwave because microwave is a radiation, and you don't need artificial radiation in your body. And that's how come most of people getting, brain tumors and all that is believed, according to World Health Organization statement, that most people are even getting radiations of tumors through abusive use of mobile phones. All right? So what am I talking about? There are things around us which benefits us, and these same things, if you abuse the use of it, it will destroy you. So come with me as I go more into the which is the quartz stone, the benefit of quartz stone in technology or in computers. Then it says quartz provides critical benefits to computers primarily through the use of quartz crystal oscillators, which acts as the heartbeat or timing mechanism for digital circuits. Due to this, its piezoelectric properties, the ability, which is a hyphenated, the ability to generate a precise electric signal when subjected to a mechanical stress. I think I've read this already. Yes, so let's go to, for not taking too much of your time, let's go to spiritual benefit of this same quartz stone. Now, I've read with you the benefit of quartz stone in what? In technology, right? And then we have gone into the benefit in computers and the same quartz stone. But let me show you the quartz stone. This is the quartz stone. This is what is called the quartz. So the quartz, we've got rose quartz and then we've got the real quartz. This is the real quartz. All right. So now quartz stone benefits in spirituality or in spirituality. So in spirituality. Okay? Yes. So now we are defining quartz in spirituality as a benefit of quartz stone when it comes to spirituality. All right? So let's find out. Or spiritual benefits. Then it says quartz, especially clear quartz, is known in what? In spiritual what? Practice as what? As a master healer. Quartz is known as the master healer. And it says what? And amplifies, it amplifies. So they're used to boost energy, enhance meditation, and clear negative vibrations. It promotes spiritual growth, sharpens mental clarity, and connects the physical and divine realms. The same stone connects the divine realms. So you see, this is why God instructed Moses to also instruct gifted artisans to sew the clothes of the priests and put some of these stones into their clothes before a man of God will stand on the pulpit to minister God's words. He's supposed to be embedded with these stones in his clothes. But today, how many of the men of God goes on that pulpit to do it, and they will tell you it was before Jesus Christ? This is what they argue. Their argument is like, it's because it was before Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ came and the cloth torn into two. No, that is not what it is. And this is what I kept saying, that you can't use, let me even say this, you can't put fuel into your water tank. And you can't put water into your fuel tank. It doesn't work like that. You are supposed to put fuel into the fuel tank and water into the radiation tank, to the water tank. And this is what a lot of people are trying to use, one as two and two as one. Because you can't force a square pipes into round holes. It won't fit. So, what am I saying? Now, spiritual benefits. It says what? Divine realms. A stone can connect one to the divine realms. How? So now, let's look at this. Let's type stones in the fish's head. Stones in the fish's head in Google. So stones in the fish's head. What is that? So then it says what? AI overview says it's called otolith. Otolith. You see, this is what I'm telling you, that when they put it in any method, they change the name. Once they put a stone into computer, they don't call it stone. They call it what? Oscillator. Once they put the stone into something different, they call it different name. Now, storage. This, let me give you an example. This is called hard drive. Okay? This is hard drive. You see, this is a laptop hard drive. And when you look at the desktop hard drive, some are bigger than this one. These days, based on technology, they are creating smaller ones. They are compressing them. But then, when the storage, when they put it in a mobile phone, they call it storage. When they put it into the space, they call it iCloud. You see, which has different names, but the same thing. So it's the same thing that there's a stone in the fish's head. For those who love fishes, sometimes you'll be chewing your fish and all of a sudden, you bite into a stone. And you may think it's a stone. It's not an ordinary stone. Yes, it is a stone, but it's not an ordinary stone. And some people put this stone in their pocket for good luck. But because you don't know, you bite into it and you just spit it out. You spit it out. And they say It will be like a sour grape in an unwise child's mouth. He or she may not know how to, use the tongue to change or to bring out the sour grapes out of his mouth, but he will spill everything out. It's exactly what most Christians are doing lately. They don't know the difference between the chaff and the real seeds. So they are cutting off all the weeds. But Jesus said something. He said they should let them grow. And on the harvest time, they can make the difference. All right. So it says what? It's called otolith, commonly known as what? Ear stones or lucky stones. In computer definition, this is what it's bringing out. Google. It said otolith, commonly known as ear stone or lucky stone, are what? A calcium carbonate structures found in the inner ear of what? Of bony fish. Crucial for balancing. Crucial for the fish to balance. A stone in the fish's head. And then it says what? Hearing and sensing water vibration. So the stone, enables the fish to feel the water vibration, to know where to go and where not to go. If I should read more with you, it says, these stones located behind the brain grows in daily or annual rings, allowing scientists to age fish and study their environments. You see? So the fish's age is on the stone, or is the stone that determines how old that fish had been surviving. You see? So your date of birth, which you're supposed to put a number there, the fishes is about the stone in the head. And of course, scientists also can go into your bones to see how old you be. And they can tell. So, you see, all these things, God created them for a reason. But because you don't know, so according to the Bible, it says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. Beloved, I can even show you more. You see, so there are different stones with different energy that it vibrates. You see, so there are a combination of stones. And I can show you what stones were used in the Bible. Some people use stone. David used a stone to kill Goliath, and you thought it was just a stone. No, that was a spiritual weapon. So when David was meeting Goliath, David went into the brook collecting 5 smooth stones. And these were birthstones. 5 is grace. So 4 is power, and adding 1, which is God, to 4 becomes 5, grace. David used a calculation method, spiritual calculation method, to fight Goliath. So the Bible says, when David was meeting Goliath, Goliath said, I will kill you and give your flesh unto the birds of the air. David also said, you come to me with javelins, you come to me with cutlasses, with weapons, but I come to you in the name of God. And David started running after Goliath, which was 3 times taller than David. And the Bible says David took 1 out of the 5 stones, put it into a catapult, and was just hit Goliath with it. When David shot the catapult, the stone itself found its way, because at that time Goliath had covered all his face with metals. So the stone, being spiritual weapon, found its own way by thrusting through a little hole right in front of Goliath's helmet, and went into his head, sink onto his head, into his skull, and Goliath fell. You see, so beloved, listen, there are different type of stones that today I may show you a few of them. These are some of them. You see, this is red jasper, and red jasper has its own spiritual benefit. I can show you more stones, quartz stones, and all that, and they all have their spiritual benefit. So you are supposed to learn to get to know which of them you are supposed to use and which of them you are not supposed to use. Beloved, listen, prayer alone is not enough. Prayer alone is not enough. And I've given you proof in the Bible where Jesus Christ told his disciple that this type of disease is not about prayer. You can't use only prayer. You're supposed to combine it with fasting. Jesus Christ at one point prayed for a blind man for the first time, and the blind man could not see. So Jesus ought to take him by his hand, took him out of the crowd and took him somewhere, and then he prayed for him for the second time. That is where the guy regained his sight. All right? So what am I talking about? Even at one point, Jesus Christ had to, put saliva. He spat on the ground, mixed saliva with what? With dust, and pasted it on the face of a blind person. Jesus Christ had the power to pronounce the guy to be healed. But no. So you may ask questions that even a blind man who cannot see, and to the extent that Jesus Christ ought to mix mud with saliva, pasted it on his face again, and asked him to walk to a different place to wash his face. Was it not giving this man too much stress, if we could put it in that context? But why is it that Jesus did this? Because he wanted the faith of that guy. He tested his faith. And this means that miracles are not picked on silver platter. So if you're a Christian and you want miracle to come to you, then I'm sorry. At one point, someone had to sleep by the brook for 38 years. Because when the angel comes to mix the water, he could not or she could not fall into the water. Until one day that, somebody put him into the water and he regained his strength. So, beloved, this is what I'm talking about. Get to know some of these things. Yes, you can contact me on +233 246 103 708, and I believe your life will never be the same. Get wisdom, get understanding. Once you get in touch with me, I may show you your birthstone so that you may use. And of course, everybody has got an angel. So the next episode, I am going to treat you and your angel. Get wisdom, get understanding. God love you. Bye-bye.